Hello and welcome to Programming in C with Altera Code. My name is Seth and I'm going to be bringing you guys some quick guides on how to program in C. Now I'm going to be doing this like a semester college course where I'm going to be trying to do a conceptual lab and then a lectural session each week. I'm going to try to do at least 2 a week, might do 3 or 4 depending on what I feel I need to post for people or if people have any questions that they need answered. I will leave my contact information down below. Before we get started, I just want to say if you are on Windows, I'm going to be using dev C++. You can download this for free from SourceForge. If you're on a Mac, you can use Xcode, which you can download from the Windows or the the Apple Store. There we go. Wanted to say so many other Microsoft terms because I rarely ever use my Mac. And or code blocks. I recommend using code blocks if you're on a Mac because I'm not that familiar with Xcode, but I know people do like using Xcode. So for this video, we're going to be starting with the conceptual programming. I'm just going to give you guys some quick rundowns on how programming works. Now, when you're using dev C++, to start a new project, you can open a file and hit new, or you can hit Control N, which will give you a new project. If you're on a Mac, it would probably be Command N. Now, when it comes to programming in C, any type of program you're going to be creating in your field using C, you're going to be working with others, so comments are a must. Now, there's two types of comments. There are single line comments, which are just these, to where it's 2 backslashes, and when you type, you can only type in 1 line of comments, which they will be blue. Any lines of code will be in black and or defined by something else. They'll be in other colors of various ways. Now, if we want to comment in multiple lines, we're going to want to use the command of \***. Now, this will allow you to comment in more than one line, and you would end that by *\\\. Now, these are going to allow you to comment in more than one line. You can also do the single line comments next to areas, so I'll show you guys some of those along in the video. Before we get started, one more time, we're going to need to add another comment basically. We're going to be giving the program information about it. So we would want to put our name, which I'm just going to put Altera Seth for mine, details about it, so my first C video, and then obviously the last date that you had this open, which is 5/21/17, and then we're just going to end our comments for good on here. Now, before you start adding anything into your code, you need to use libraries, and these are built into your compiler as well as Windows. These allow you to bring resources into your program. So you want to use the hashtag symbol. Now, I tried calling it pound symbol in previous videos that I made for people that I sent them, and they're like, what is a pound symbol? I'm just going to say hashtag so people that are from this generation will be able to understand it, and they're like, oh no, that's a hashtag. Sorry, got off on a little tangent, but anyways, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding our studio, which you're going to be putting include your caret symbols. Now, when you include your caret symbols, these are going to be what library you're going to be using. There's multiple libraries. There are comms, there's standards, input-output scenarios. Now, we're going to be using just a standard input-output, so that would be stdio. And then .h for our library, and then another caret symbol. So it's got to be the greater than less than is how it's going to be set up with your little carets. Just a lot of people refer to them as brackets. They're carets because when you use brackets later on in the line, you're going to be confused if you're calling them both the same. Now, standard is just our standard library, and IO is input output. These are going to allow us to deliver info to the user and receive info as well. Now, we're going to be working on a predefined variable set that's going to appear on our screen. We're not going to be adding anything like to where we can respond to it, so we're going to keep everything just closed source. Later on in the next videos, we're going to be doing more open source items where you can actually interact with it, but for now, we're just going to want to have our main integer, which is just int. There's multiple integers, there's multiple data types like doubles, floats. Those are going to be more for calculations, and I'm going to show those more in the future. So our integer, and we're going to use our execute function, which is main. And main is the only thing that can execute the function. Now, we're going to be using void also. Normally, you'll see people leave these brackets blank, but since we're going to be using void, what this is going to be doing is preventing us from receiving no response from somewhere else. Now, since we're not getting a response from somewhere else, we wouldn't have an interaction. We can just leave it void as is. And we're going to have our squiggly brackets now. We're already using the first kind of brackets, so that's why I referred to less than greater than as the carets. People have different names for them, but we're going to keep them that way. And you don't have to space your program out as much as I do, but we can just keep that as is. Now, we're going to be adding some comments here. We're going to be displaying the result. Now, we can keep them 1 line, 2 line, we can put them above the area or next to it, it all depends. So we're going to be using our print feature to display our result on our screen. Now that's going to be just printf, our parentheses, quotations of what we want it to say. So we're going to put Altera code is teaching programming in C for free. And then we're going to use the new line function, which is \n, /n. And when we go to use that, it'll create 2 spaces in between our first line of characters. And then we're going to have subscribe for more. Now what this is going to mean is we're going to have this on 1 line, and then when it shows up, that'll be on another line down below. To close off any line of code, you will add the semicolons on there. And so your code doesn't flip off on the screen, we will use return 0. Did not mean to click there, sorry, I meant to tab that back out to make it even. Alrighty, and now that you have all your code on here, you're going to want to compile it. Now when you go to compile it, you have to save it, and we're going to be saving it as a C source file. So we're just going to label it as all files at the moment, because we're not going to be saving this on the computer. But oh no, we have an error. This type of error is known as a syntax error. Now, a syntax error can be from something that is left out, like a semicolon, or something that is spelt wrong or declared wrong. In this particular case, I intentionally spelled include wrong, so we would get a syntax error. Now, just to fix that, all you do is spell include right. This is a simple one. We could have left out a semicolon and we still would have gotten an error. So like, if we do that, we're going to get a different error, and it's going to tell us that it expected the semicolon before the token, and it will tell us actually on which line the main thing is affected. So basically you just have to look and see where you forgot a semicolon for that. And now that you compile it, it says Altera code is teaching programming in C for free. Happy face. Subscribe for more. Now, that was just a simple program to where we're going to have a response come from the code. If you do want me to post this down below, I will have it included in the description or a link to it. But for starters, that's just a simple way to use 2 different features that you've never worked with before. You have your print feature, which will display it to the screen, as well as using your first library and defining your first integer. This is more or less a conceptual guide. If you guys do have any questions, leave them down below, and I will be getting into more calculating and just getting responses from the overall program in the next couple videos, and then we will actually get into more of the deep stuff. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Leave a like and a sub, and I'll get back to you all with a new video. Thanks.